nice to finally meet you. Can't wait to tell you about the things I've been through. 18 years, I was walking by myself. Ain't no fucking way that could be good for my health. Skeletons go deep. Been living in my closet. Fear of the unknown cause a nigga to be modest. I'm just being honest. It's hard to face the facts that I've been living all this time, not knowing what it mean to be black. Grew up, ain't have no father, just my mother. Her and Graham's the only ones at supper. So many fucking questions, things to discover. Why these white kids always questioning my color? Start to make me wonder, who the hell am I? Why they got me feeling like my brown skin is my demise? You can see it in my eyes, confusion run deep. Start to lose trust, can't tell a wolf from a sheep. Inside the tears leak, can't show it on the surface. Was just a little kid trying to understand his purpose. Tears turned to rage, on fear I turned the page. Smoked my first L, now I'm coping with the haze. Why the value of my life under appraise? Just cause my skin dark. Why the 5 o'clock news only show niggas in chalk? Why I can't just be myself? Always gotta play the part like, boy, you black, you ain't supposed to be smart. Nigga, dead black man, it's nice to finally meet you. Can't wait to tell you about the things I've been through. 18 years, I was walking by myself. Ain't no fucking way that could be good for my health. Skeletons go deep. Been living in my closet. Fear of the unknown cause a nigga to be modest. I'm just being honest. It's hard to face the facts that I've been living all this time, not knowing what it mean to be black.
What was your experience growing up as a black man? Talk about some of the positives and some of the struggles.
Coming in from my family, growing up black was always like a sense of pride. Like I had a family that was always that, you know, you're so black, black is always so beautiful. You know, the blacker you were, the more beautiful you were. So my dad was, his family came from Tuskegee, Alabama. So like my experiences was always like, I'm the shit. I've always been the shit when it came to being black, you know? So like, but the struggle of it was living in this area. White people, like in white society, tends to think like that's some type of privilege to be around white people, you know? It's like, and like they have a different sense of reality on like what is truth. So like our truths are real history, and they just kind of believe the myths of their own history. So like the struggle of it was trying not to be so angry all the time. Like y'all don't get it. Like you, like we're the shit. We're the kings. You know what I mean? We're like, our history is always pure. Like, and like everything that we would talk about in my own household was always met with this sense of pride. And then you go out into this world with white people, and like they have these myths about their own history, and it's just like everything that you believe in is a lie. Like it doesn't even add up. It's weird. It's a weird dual reality. It's like you always got to put on this nice face to try to not be so angry, especially when you grow up in an all black family. I don't think it was much of a struggle because I don't think I even really I didn't really have white friends. Like they were my friends, but like my people were my cousins, you know? So like everything we did was black. So we went to, I went to Eastview, which you would probably, you know what I mean? Like I went to Eastview from K in first grade, and then I went to an all Christian school. It was just, the only reason why I went there because it was just my family. Like we weren't deeply in the church. My aunts and uncles were, but we went because it was just black. Yeah. It was just our cousins and shit, so.
Did you experience a lot of racism growing up as a child?
Yeah, racism was definitely always there. I always remember the first time that I remember being told I was black outside of it, like in a negative way. I was in, it was in grade school at Eastview. I had to be kindergarten or first grade, and I was sitting next to my homegirl, who's my homie to this day. And she was like, I was sitting next to the one girl, she was Lebanese, the other girl was a white girl, and the white girl was flirting with me, and the Lebanese girl was like, "Ooh, you like Jesse?" And she was just like, "Oh, he's black, I can't like him." I was like, fuck. Like, damn, it's like that. You know what I mean? No, seriously, I was taken aback by it. Like, shit, my mom said I'm fucking beautiful. I don't know what the fuck you talking about. Like, what you mean ill? But she wasn't even saying ill in a way of like, she didn't like me. It was more like, ill, I'm not I'm not like, ill, he's black, I'm not allowed to. Because like, she's my homie to this day. But it was just like, she was being taught that. So I always knew like at an early age that like, oh, y'all taught some old next bullshit. Like you don't even like, you guys are taught against your own natural instincts. Like everything that came about when it came to being black, people were imitating and stealing, whether it's our style, whether it's our how we talk, how we dress. Everything about it, especially in America, has been black influence. It's like y'all steal everything and you love everything about us, but your parents want to hate it so much and instill that into you, which is weird. You know what I mean? So that racism was always like my angst. So I always like, my dad would always be like, you know, even when it came to sports, it was like, I'm better than he is. No, you got to be 100 times better. So like the racism was like a fuel to just show how great we really were. So, cause I always just had a deep sense of like, I was always the shit. I remember I had a teacher tell me when I finally went to the middle school, and she was like, actually it might've been one of the football coaches that we had. And he was like, you got a chip on your shoulder. And I was like, you damn right I got a fucking chip on my shoulder. You're right, I got a chip, massive chip, always. And I'm always, you can't tell me nothing. Like, my mom and dad know I'm the shit, and we gonna be the shit every day. So racism was what it was.
Introduce yourself. What's your name? Where are you from?
Jesse Turner from Olean, New York, born and raised. Man, like, you know, been to all types of different places. Played some sports, played some football, played some basketball. Lived in LA, lived in Michigan, lived in North Carolina for a while, you know, and came back here and doing this thing. So.
So on to the next question. As a father of 2 mixed children, talk about how you approach being a parent to biracial kids.
That's been a challenge for me, because my oldest daughter is fully black, and I mean chocolate black. So with her, I made sure that I always instilled into her that she was beautiful and black was beautiful, because black women are just not appreciated ever. You know what I mean? Like in this time, they just go through it like so much. And just like my grandma told my mom and my mom told me, I made sure that I had to tell her. So when I had 2 biracial kids, it was it's constantly am I too militant? You know what I mean? Because I want them to love both sides of them. But at the same time, society's always going to treat them as black. And now, in my kids, you know, my kids are lighter, you know what I mean? And they got that light hair and wavy hair. And so I wonder if I'm doing them a disservice by not exposing them to more blackness and more black culture. I feel like we had a conversation. I was having it when we were doing the talk with Danny Gate, and he was just like, I don't think you have to grow up in black culture to, you know what I mean, to appreciate it. It's like, bullshit. You know, so I think that I struggle with trying to make sure that they have enough black influences, and so my mother and father watch them all the time, so they have that. But sometimes I want them to have the friends in the group that I had. Like I want them to have their cousins and the support that I had, and the sureness that they had about being black. And if anybody was ever going to talk about if their nose was too big or their lips were too big, so it's definitely been a challenge. But at the end of the day, I want them to just be human more than anything else. Just to be human, like just to be like, they can love their Italian side of them, they can love the part of the Polish side of them, they can love the black side of them. But I definitely want them to make sure that they understand that when they step off this world, out of this little safe haven of Olean, that people are going to treat them like they're black. And they're not gonna, they might not love you as much, you know what I mean? They might be like, oh, this is Lucci or this is Pina, but when they step off in it, they don't know their name. They just see them as brown skinned people. So
What's your biggest fear of them growing up as biracial?
Anybody harming them, really. Just somebody harming, like, my son, I worry about, like, you know what I mean, because he's a real sensitive soul. But anybody just hurting them in life, like, you know what I mean, because of their color. Or, you know what I mean, being in a situation that they couldn't navigate because they're not used to being black or growing up in a black world. Because they really are in this white world. And, like, it's like maybe them not being prepared, you know. So I fear that sometimes, that, like, my son's gonna have the same type of angst that I have, and it's gonna come off and somebody's gonna harm him because he didn't grow up in a tougher environment. But, you know, I give them what they're equipped to do in their life, you know what I mean, in their world. So they don't have to have the exact same tools that I had, you know what I mean, growing up. Things are different, you know what I mean, for them, because it's their lives and they're different. So
what advice would you give the 10-year-old you about being black?
Would I give my own self advice? Only thing I would try to not be as angry. I think that, like, me and my dad talk about this, like, you know, the advice I would be like, don't be so angry. Like, we talk about, like, the history of, like, let's take, like, the Nation of Islam. Like, when the Nation of Islam first was coming up in the 60s, 50s, 60s, you know, you had a lot of militant people that were angry. So any person that didn't fit into their definition of blackness, they attacked, whether that's them going after Malcolm, whether that's them going after this type of person. And their anger of racism and bitterness kind of turned on the people that were still trying to love them. It's just like the black experience is really, really broad. So our black experience here, growing up around white people, is different, but at the same time, it's still a black experience in America, as opposed to just as much as somebody growing up in this inner city of Detroit. Their black experience is that black experience, but we're still going through a black American experience, which is really tough to fucking deal with, no matter which way you go with. So I would try to tell myself, like, don't be so angry and so militant to other black kids or that may not have had as much black knowledge or black history, and maybe try to give them a little bit more game and a little bit more understanding, and be like, come on, let's talk about this, and, like, let me not try to dish your blackness, because we did a lot of that in the 80s and 90s, like, you ain't black enough, and, you know, we do that with black people, you know, we do it all the time. We judge ourselves on who's supposed to be blacker and who's this and who's that. So I don't know, just probably try not to be so angry, I guess.
Talk about your relationship with me, how we met, and your influence on my growth as a black man.
It's funny because when I was listening to your song, Dear Black Man, you talked about, like, having that realization of being black. But what made me think was we had a conversation, and it was right around the time, like, early on in our relationship, like, you know what I mean, we were, like, trying to put your finger on, like, sometimes how people had disdain for you. And I used to always say to you, like, you know, they don't like your black ass, right? You know what I mean? Like, they don't like you. And you'd be like, nah, that's my guy. And I'd be like, but they don't really like you. Like, they don't love you. You know what I mean? Like, they don't really, and you never, it's almost like that thing in the room you can't put your finger on. And it's like, when you finally, like, realize, like, oh shit, I'm black. Like, that's it. And it's like, that's the ugliness of America, that people can't put they can't express, and where white people can't wrap their brain around, that they have been indoctrinated into racism, that it's felt. And even though they accept you, they only accept you on how they want you to accept you. So Ryan, you good. I'm not gonna mention any certain people's names in there like that, but, like, certain friends you grew up with, like, oh, we love Ryan and like that, but they didn't really like you when you got black, which is funny because you was always black, you know what I mean? But they want you to act a certain way, and they're gonna accept that. So, like, I was just like, that first verse of your song, when we talked, that's what it took me to, like, like, that's the thing that you want to put your finger on. Like, you black, and they don't really love you, because when you reach your full potential, you become a threat to them. And there's been many friends that you've had that have been, like, kind of like fell to the wayside because you are a threat to them, because you can grind better than they can grind. You have a shine better than they shine, and that is always intimidating to them. So,
talk more about yours and I's relationship.
Man, it goes back. It goes back to you running around in a little high school because your mother and my sister, my oldest sister, are just homies. They graduated high school together, and it was just like that little black kid running around on the court talking about he's Italian, like, yeah, he might be. He's partly. But it's just like this movie with like, you see how the water beads off his head? Like, he's a little nigga. Like, I don't know what you're talking about, but like, I can see him. So it was like, once you grew up, you know what I mean? Like, and we got close. It was just kind of always a love there. Like, my dad always had a love for all black kids because you're growing up in something, and it's like, and I remember us talking about, like when you were saying like your family would, like when they said it, they were like, no, he's Italian. It was like, it wasn't said out of like them trying to say that you weren't black. It was just more like, he's our blood too. Like, you're a Carney. They love you just, you know what I mean? You're their son, you're their uncle, their nephew, you're all those things to them. But it was just like trying to give you that admiration, like, you know, man, he's black, so he's gonna need some help in this. He's gonna need some help, you know what I mean? And it's like, and when anytime we became close, it was like, I got you, you know what I mean? Like, I got a love for you that is always going to be rooted in our skin tone and in the struggle and the pain of it. And I think that's another thing that my dad gave me that I want all black sons to get. You know what I mean? Like raising our sons, and that's how, like, you know what I mean? Like, you're like my little brother. It's like, you got to give people the love of that. If you don't give them the love, you know what I mean? Like, you're teaching your black man how to love them, we're hurting ourselves. And I don't just mean loving our women, loving each other. Like, ain't nothing wrong with us being sensitive or being hurt or being scared or you know what I mean? I'll be like, some woman broke your heart. Like, yeah, that shit hurts. You know what I mean? You allowed to cry? Like, yeah, I cried like a little bitch. Like, you know what I mean? Like, my feelings was hurt. So I think that, like, that was like what I think a lot of, even when it came to you and growing up in this world, like, he needs black man love. You know, so that's what I always want. Like, you know, like when other people are like, oh, you need to be hard, you need to be this, you know what I mean? You nigga, like, nah, man, like, he's just a man, like, he's just a boy. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he's a kid. Like, make sure that they understand, because we always get deemed as black men as not being kids and not being young. And like, you know, they treat us like we're grown men. They think we're grown. They think we're superhuman. You know what I mean? And then when we're not superhuman, we're subhuman. And they treat us like shit. But at the end of the day, it was so my thing when it came to you and I is like, even when I see, like, I'm always rooting for you to shine. Like, shine, black man, shine. Like, you got more hustle and more grind than I ever had. And it's just like, I appreciate that. You know what I mean? So it's like, I'm always appreciating you. So that's the love I feel.
Man, that shit was beautiful. That shit was beautiful. No, you take it right now.
Play right here. One, you didn't send me this when you were supposed to send me this.
You were supposed to know the album, nigga.
Facts.
It's nice to finally meet you. Can't wait to tell you about the things I've been through. 18 years, I was walking by myself. Ain't no fucking way that could be good for my health. Skeletons go deep. Been living in my closet. Fear of the unknown cause a nigga to be modest. I'm just being honest. It's hard to face the facts that I've been living all this time. I knowing what it mean to be black. Grew up, ain't have no father, just my mother. Her and Graham's the only ones at supper. So many fucking questions, things to discover. Why these white kids always questioning my color. Start to make me wonder, who the hell am I?
And it's like, you're asking yourself questions there that you can't even fully process yourself. Like, cause you, like, again, like, we got to deal with being black. We got to deal with being black before even just being a kid, like, which is crazy. Like, you know, like the kids asking like, oh, why you brown and why you look like this? And, you know, and it's just like, you know, you're unaware. You're like, I'm just Ryan. Like, I didn't know I was supposed to be this different. So like, when I listened to it, yeah, like, Like they make it like they make it like this is crazy thing.
Inside the tears leak, can't show it on the surface. Was just a little kid trying to understand his purpose. Tears turn to rage, or fear I turn the page. Smoke.
And that's what happens a lot of times. What you just said right there, those tears and that hurt, because they don't talk about that either. Like, you know, like racism hurts. Like, I don't want, like, you think I want to go into the room and be the black man all the motherfucking time? That shit is annoying. Like, can I be a sensitive kid? Can I be a sensitive person? Can I be an introvert? You know, like all the things, because you know, I talk all the time. You know what I mean? Like any relationship, but Ryan don't talk. It's like, he had a lot going on. It's just like, he's just trying to navigate through those things. And it's like, racism hurts, and like black kids and black men, it's almost like we ain't allowed to be sensitive. We ain't allowed to hurt. We ain't allowed to just be like, can I get a minute? You know what I mean? Can I step back, and you know what I mean? Or where do I go when I need some comfort? You know what I mean? Can I go to another black man? Can I go to my mother? You know what I mean? Or not be called soft, and all this crazy nonsense that we gotta be is, you hitting it right on the head.
First L, now I'm coping with the haze. Why the value of my life under appraise? Just cause my skin dark. Why the 5 o'clock news only show niggas in chalk? Why I can't just be myself? Always gotta play the part. Like, boy, you black, you ain't supposed to be smart. Nigga, dead black man, it's nice to finally meet you. Can't wait to tell you about the things I've been through. 18 years, I was walking by myself. Ain't no fucking way that could be good for my health. Skeletons go deep. Been living in my closet. Fear of the unknown cause a nigga to be modest. I'm just being honest. It's hard to face the facts that I've been living all this time, not knowing what it mean to be black. It's hard to run with your mans if you ain't walking they shoes. Know that niggas ain't blind, but still might not see your views. Call me Detective Carney, always looking for clues. Can't swim, but never hesitate to dive in the booze. Yeah, first place I ever found some answers. Uncle Deuce the first to ever put me on the Panthers. And what it's like to be a black man in a white man's world. And why they calling me nigga when I fuck a white man's girl. Yeah, I swear Tupac was like my pops. Me against the world, forced my mind outside that box. Kids felt like my cuz soon as a nigga heard the locks. Once I started peeping game, it was too hard for me to stop. Just too hard for MTV, not black enough for BET. Just let me be, that hit my soul, nigga.
That's real. Just let you be. Like, you know, trying to define yourself constantly through a lens of being black is brutal. You know what I mean? Like, and then like some people get angry. I was an angry one. Some be introverts, some turn to smoking weed or just acting out. But like, that's tough though. Like, it really is, because like, just like, even just to, like, for you to write a song to yourself, like Dear Black Man, like, because we're always defined by that in this, as Malcolm would say, in this wilderness called North America. You know what I mean? Like, I was talking to a couple of my Native American friends, like the indigenous people of this land, and they're just talking about like their connection to this land. Like, and we're always in a state of like roaming, like our connection to our own homeland, we're even us not being connected to America or white people, like we're still in another indigenous people's land. Like, we're always trying to search on what our definition is, and like, and how we define ourselves, and like how we measure ourselves as being black, which is never stops. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, black man, it's nice to finally meet you. Can't wait to tell you about the things I've been through. 18 years, I was walking by myself. Ain't no fucking way that could be good for my health. Skeletons go deep. Been living in my closet. Fear of the unknown cause a nigga to be modest. I'm just being honest. It's hard to face the facts that I've been living all this time, not knowing what it mean to be black.
You know what it means to be black in America for us? Like, what connects us all? Like, when people always, like, you know, black people always say what's up to each other and stuff, but like, we're always going through, we know the same experience. We could all come from different tribes, but our same, whether what we all are going through is this same hurt that we're going through of racism and being black in America and kind of just being like in no man's land, and like the people walking, whether it's like, if you want to use biblical terms, of walking in the desert trying to find the promised land. That's all our connection. All of our connections is that I can see another black man, and even though he's not gone through the exact same things as me, he knows he has the exact same feelings that I have, because we're going through the same thing in this world, in this America that never really embraces us, never really fully loves us, only wants us to be in this little pigeonhole. So like, but I would say to your song, to yourself, you found you. You found you. You are you black. You are a beautiful black man. You smart. You do all that shit, man. Like you grind. You make your money. You laugh. You cry. You can do all those things, man. You love your mother. You love, you know what I mean? You love your black skin. You love all your family. You love your friends. You live your life. You found you. You black, man.
Mic drop, nigga. Yo, that shit was dope. That shit was amazing.
That's really good church around you.
Yeah. Appreciate you. That shit was dope. That shit was
I'm not gonna lie, that motion is gonna be fucking crazy.
Like what we deal with black men, always give each other these passed down, these generational scars of anger, angst, and how we deal with anything that we are. If we're sad, we deal with it with anger. If we're insecure, we deal with it with anger. If we are heartbroken, they want us to be tough all the time. And it's just like, we gotta start giving our sons more tools to deal with our own emotions, to be able to put them out there and breed healthier sons. You know what I mean? And like, so I think my dad did a great job of that. You know what I mean? Even though he was militant, I would say, to a certain extent. But I never lacked any hugs. I never thought that it was like, oh, my dad don't love me, or my dad is not sensitive. Like, you know what I mean? Like, because I have a brother who's kind of like Ryan, more so than that. He's my older brother, but I see a lot of young biracial kids growing up in this town that are not necessarily engulfed into the black culture, that are not getting that hugs from the elder black men in their worlds, especially the black boys. You know what I mean? So it's like they need that. You know what I mean? Because like they're trying to put their finger on what the hurt is. You know, like people treating them differently, or feeling like a kid does, a white kid, I mean, he might not even know it's necessarily the white kid. The kid does this and he does it, and people react in a different way when he does it. And it's just like, he's still a 14-year-old kid, just like this kid's a 14-year-old kid. They're still kids. And it's like, sometimes we're not treated that way. So I think with Deuce, that's my guy, and he's 2 years younger than me, but that's my guy. Like I always try to tell him, even when it came to his sons, like, show them some love, man. Make sure that they know that you love them. It doesn't have to be in some tough way. Exactly. He's just like, come on, man. So me and Ryan always we talk about that side of it. So like, where Deuce is, the tough side of it, which, me and Ryan can talk about, like, like the hardships or the heartbreak of being black sometimes, you know what I mean? Because I think I was the same sensitive kid growing up, you know what I'm saying? But I was angry, so I just fought. Ryan's not a fighter. Not that he can't fight. I didn't say he can't fight. I'm just saying he's not a fighter. Like, it's like, we fought all the time because we got called nigga all the time. So we was like, we just gonna fight. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's just what it was. And you were allowed to fight. You're not allowed to fight nowadays. I still come from the 90s where people got punched in their mouth. So that's it.
Talk about Carney's growth, how you saw him as that child,
Mm-hmm.
and kind of undiscovered in his blackness to who he has cultivated himself as now.
I think it was him maturing as a black man has definitely taken place. I wouldn't say recently, because I think it became. I think he wanted to embrace it, and it was like, it felt comfortable for him, where it was just like, this is who I am, like, and it, like, so like the blossoming of him was more like, he talks more now, which is funny. You know what I mean? Because I think he just became more comfortable. You know what I mean? Like I think he was like introverted. He's always been introverted, but I think he was more introverted because he was in a world where him being that black man wasn't comfortable. So I watched him come out and be more of himself and not care with any, like if he was gonna lose these certain friends or him in the business world. Like I'm gonna wear my hair the way I want to wear my hair. I don't care if it's nappy. Like I'm gonna wear my beard like I'm still in Africa. Like, you know what I mean? Everything about my hair is my roots. You know, even if I'm still searching for my roots, like I feel my roots deeper than anything. So it was more like I always say, like what I think I said before was just like I was always kind of like proud, like, and like we had many conversations where we were drunk as shit. We were like, yo, we need to talk more. You know what I mean? Like, love you, man. They're like that. But for me, it really felt like, you know what I mean? Like I want to let him know, like, I love what you're becoming, and how comfortable you are with yourself. And because you're combining everything that we are as black men and as human, and just killing all those stereotypes of everything that people think you should be, or he can't do that, or you can't, Ryan, you can't act like this, or you can't speak like this and do rap and do business and do real estate. You can do all that. He just said, I'm gonna do this because this is who I am as fully as Ryan. Nothing else. I'm a black man and I'm Ryan, and you can't take that from me. So I think he's definitely grown with his confidence. Like, well, he knows I say this to him. I was just like, I'm not the man anymore in this town. He's the man in this town. Like, I used to think I was a man, but like now I'm not. You know what I mean? So I had to like bow gracefully. But it's okay. Usually with the hoes. Like, I gotta. I'm now Robin. I'm Robin. I'm just the guy in the side passenger seat. Like I'm rolling with him. So, but I really do. Like, I really appreciate, man. I really do love that brother. I really do. He's a good brother. His heart is dope. So I appreciate it. I appreciate you, Ryan. My guy. Love you, brother. Yeah. I'm proud of you, Ryan. I got fully black people in my own family that damn near look like Nigerians that love white to the point where it makes me disgusted. Not that I dislike white, but like I'm proud that he chose loving black, because in a world that doesn't want to embrace loving black, he didn't have to. So like you said, man, like there's some black folks out there that are tomming and cooning like nobody's business, and that shit is disgusting. And I try to not to get angry about it, but it's hard not to. So I like the way I'm proud of him in that sense that he chose black is immeasurable. It really is, because only black people that understand that have to go through it knows that he doesn't have to choose that. He could have easily shucked and jived and kept his hair short and lived in a white world and pleased them as much as he wanted to, but he did it his way. So the pride that I feel that he chose his blackness and him as fully as that, not only, but fully as who he is can't be measured. It really can't be measured, because America does not really reward you for that. That's the key. America does not reward you for choosing black a lot of times. We got to choose ourselves.
Being on the outside looking in, right? Because I don't know what it's like to be biracial. But like, so we don't have a choice.
Facts.
When I look to my left and my right, all I see is black.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, he had a choice.
Yep.
He chose black.
And he chose black.
That's just, I love that shit.
That is, you know what I mean? And that's true. That's really true. And I think when you say that, it even goes to me with my biracial kids. I never really planned to have biracial kids.
Do you really have a choice though? Yes. I don't know, because growing up,
society will always see you as black.
Society will always see you black.
But who you choose to be, I'm telling you.
You could choose to ignore it. Exactly. Because we again, I don't want to. I'm not going to name names because we're on camera. Because he's my family and I love him, but I don't like him. And we all know who we're talking about because he is as black as shit. You know what I mean? I mean, like I'll tell you how black he is. I'll tell you how black he is. When he was a kid, there was this little picture of this little boy in National Geographic. Yeah, in National Geographic, and we used to call him the Dunga. So when I see him, I'll be like, Dunga. Like the nigga, he's that black. He is truly, like he's truly that black. So like, I do think there is a choice because it's maybe for me
internally, but to me, like you can make the choice.
Yeah,
I want to choose my white side, but in everybody else's eyes, I'm still black.
Absolutely. But it's almost like what he's talking about. Like you can choose to be that coon. Yeah. Like you can choose to coon, you know what I mean, and like take their black jokes and be like, why don't you guys like the dude that like listens to all their black jokes and be like, you just be like, yo, well, I'm not racist. Jordan doesn't care, you know what I mean? And then be like, why don't you care? You know what I mean? And they'd be like, why don't you be more like him? The white people want you to be more like him, and so like white people will experience 98% of black people, and then they'll meet 2% of black people that act like the way they act, and they'll be like, see. Right. That's the way it should be. You know what I mean? And it's like no, that's like going to a woman and be like 8 out of women are opposed to rape, and you meet one that likes to get choked and raped, and be like, oh, see, women like rape. Like it's fucking crazy. You know what I mean? But like that's the sickness of it. So I get what he's saying. Like you can choose it. You can just choose to like. You can choose to be the coon. You can choose to be their mascot.
Even if you're fully black.
Fully black, yeah. You can, and the sad thing about it, I feel like the majority of the time it usually is somebody that's fully black that's their fucking mascot. Like their little one mascot and their pink poodle that they want to parade around and be like, this is my black friend. And he takes all their jokes and laughs with them and all their silly shit and everything like that. So, and that's, you know what I mean? It doesn't have to be that extreme, but it is that dude. Like, you know what I mean? It's like for him to, Because there's a lot of people. I'll give you a great example. You ever read the 3 Negro classics where you have the Booker T's Up From Slavery, and then the Boys is, and then there's the Soul of Black Folks, and then there's another book called The Autobiography of an Ex-Colored Man. So a lot of times, so everybody obviously knows about the Boys in the Booker T book, but the third book, I can't even think of the author's name, but he's a biracial dude. In the 30s, 40s, 50s, that chooses. He's so light, he chooses to be white. Changes his birth certificate, changes all the things that like that, and passes for white. And he writes his autobiography about being it's called The Autobiography of an Ex-Colored Man. And he talks about his experiences, talking about watching a black man get lynched, and he stood there, you know, in the streets and just watched it happen. Like, and nobody said anything, thought about it because they thought he was white. But the point of that being and it's all one book. I'll give it to you when you're done. It's all in one book. And the reason why it's all in one book is kind of what I was talking to earlier, is about it's still the experience of all black people. You got Booker T who's kind of saying like, hey man, we don't need them. Let's just do us. And the Boys is an elitist and be like, no, we need to go to their schools and we need to learn them and do this and like that. But then there's the other black man that just shuns everything. And his pain is real. Don't get me wrong, you know what I mean? So like that's still a black experience, but his black experience is the most frowned upon by black people. Like, damn, dog, you chose to not be black? God damn. You know what I mean? Like you hate yourself that much? Fuck. You know what I mean? And that's how coon it is. You know what I mean? Like these dudes that choose to be black but choose to live in that world. Like, I don't see color. Like, really, Negro? Really? Like, you really bought into that bullshit that they tell you? Like, stop. Like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, it would be nice not to, but that's just not the luxury. That just doesn't work. But like, it's an interesting book. Like, I read it again because my dad was militant. I read all those books before I was in 9th grade. Like, you know what I mean? So I'm walking around junior high in a white school, like, fuck you, crackers. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Y'all don't know shit. You know what I mean? Like, read this shit. They be like, I don't understand. Jesus wasn't white, motherfucker. There's no such thing as Mary, Joseph, and Peter and Paul in fucking Middle East and Northern Africa, assholes. You guys are the liars. So I was that nigga. You know what I mean? Like, you motherfuckers we were walking in the desert, not y'all. Like, everything came from Northern Africa. Like, so you got David, who's supposed to be a black king, but he's after Bathsheba. So when you think Bathsheba was white with a name like that, stop. But you want to change the one name of these people? Like, white people. Don't get me started. So there's an article, again, I read all the time, like the white Jesus, the idea of the white Jesus is the center of racism, of white racism.
Yeah, and this
it's
is
the
theory,
pure center.
This is a theory that's so young that it's not even possible.
Yeah, exact facts. Facts. Yeah.
in the Middle East, and where are all these white people roaming around?
But
But the crazy thing is the Bible literally describes Jesus as hair like wool
Yes.
and bronze skin.
Bronze. But that's how deeply it's ingrained. Like, we talk about Egypt, but like Arabs are invaders to Northern Africa, which people can't wrap their brains around. And again, there's another book called The Destruction of Black Civilization, which is like an anthropology book, which talks about like what the society was like pre-Europeans. Because like you're saying, it's also, Europeans are very new on the scene. You know what I mean? Like barely, they're very young. Like you can't like, so it's like everything that they were, like if you had any light skin in you, you were considered white instead of like the opposite. Like if you were a little bit like lighter and like that, you were just white. Only way you black is if you all the way black. And so like, again, like people think like the Nubia and the Kingdom of Kush and all these places are made up names like oh, the Brand Nubian, Grand Poopa just made a rap group up of this. Like, no, it was a real, those are all the names before that. Like Nubia is the land of the blacks. Like there's no such thing as Egypt. You gave that name to it's just, it's mind blowing. So I grew up like that, walking around like, Mary? Really? Joe?
Who?
Yosef, maybe. You know what I mean? Maybe, I'll give you that. You know what I mean? But like, come on, like Peter, Paul, like only people that got black, say white names is these people. Like, it's such a mind fuck. And they're just like, they believe it so wholeheartely like that. And that they're Jesus. Like I'll be delivering UPS packages and be seeing white Jesus on people's porches. I'd be chucking shit at them. Man, like, you fucking liars. But they're so indoctrinated into it that they don't even realize that that's the root of their racism. I'm not racist. It's like, yes, you are. I grew up uniquely too, though, because all my aunts and uncles were all married and all black. Like both my grandparents were married, all black, married till they died. You know what I mean? My aunts and uncles were all married to you know what I mean? Not all my, you know what I'm saying? The majority of them, like my, so like for me, as much as I grew up in Olean, I didn't grow up white. I grew up around a lot of white people, but I didn't grow up white.
Maybe white culture.
Yeah, like, well, but it was like, well, white culture was outside of me. So like when I walked out the door, like when I went to school, yeah, like I was in white culture, but I grew up in black culture. So I never had an issue when it came to black. All my friends were black because they were all my cousins and my homies. So like, and we all lived on one street. Like we all lived on, it was just like, well, we're going on the Ave, you know what I mean? That was the 2nd Avenue. So like, that's where we were. So like growing up in Olean, I always had a unique experience more so. And I think a lot of them did, even his family, you know what I mean? Cause we had a lot more, like he's saying the same thing for his family. All the O'Neills, like they were all black, you know what I mean? The Portlows and O'Neills, like they were all black. And like we all hung with each other, you know what I mean? Like we did not hang with, you know what I mean, with a ton of white people. And so like, that was hard. So like for Ryan, it's just like him growing up hanging out in Seneca Heights was just what it was, because who else were you gonna hang out with? You know what I mean? Like, so it's, I mean, it has to be an inner, you know what I mean? Just like you're saying, writing that letter to yourself is an inner like shock. Like, okay, like shit, like what is it that why do I feel different? Why do they treat me different? You know what I mean? Like I see, it's easy, obviously I can see in the mirror, but like it's something deep inside where it's like, they just don't like me. They don't really want me to shine. So I got arrested. I'm probably one of my best high school days of my life. So I played football in college. I mean, so I was a pretty good football player back in my day. So my senior year, I had a big game for the league championship, and we had to win that game to go to playoffs, and we won the league. So I went out there and broke the school record for rushing, had 3 touchdowns, 300 yards rushing, you know what I mean, player of the week. It was homecoming also. I was one of the homecoming kings or attendants or whatever. Walking to the dance, our police department's not on. This is where I say when you step off the grid, they treat you like a nigga. I'm in there, the sheriff department's on duty, and they don't know any of us. I just got there because we just got done with the game. It was on Saturday because we played on Saturdays. I just got to the dance, was talking to my cousin Amanda, and they were about to announced the homecoming quarantine. All the lights come on because two white kids, one who's in that actual cop now, still a good friend. It wasn't him, beat up another kid, and they came in to try to they beat up a kid in the corner of the dance, and he was unconscious. So all the lights came on, and the sheriff's department comes in. Sheriff department comes in. Our mayor of Olean right now was actually one of the cops that was off duty, but he was there. Bill Elliott was there. The cop comes in, pushes me out of the way. He was a big cop, and I turned it. I mean, I'm pretty much the same size I was now. I was like, "You could have said excuse me," and he was like, "What'd you say?" And I was like, "You could have said excuse me," and he was like, "Excuse me," and kept going, kept walking. His partner, whose name is Aerosmith, who's been fired from 3 different departments for excessive force, and he was on the reservation in Salamanca and treating natives, you know what I mean, terrible too. Just pushed me, started wrestling us, just pushed me over the table. So when he pushed, we started wrestling. I got arrested. I was at the dance for 15 minutes. I got arrested for resisting arrest.
On what charge?
That was it. You know what I mean? It was like, I was the only black kid in there. You know what I mean? So that day, which is funny about that same night, 20 other athletes, they got in trouble for drinking alcohol and having drugs in their system, and they none of them got arrested. I was the only person that got arrested on that day.
And you didn't even get a chance to party yet.
None of it. They didn't get no ass. So not like that's what like his reaction to me was I'm big and I'm black. Like you singled me out of the only people. I'm dressed in. I had a suit coat on, you know what I mean, you know, blazer on, dressed nice. Only person I singled out, and that's the second time I've been falsely arrested. They ended up dropping the charges, you know what I mean, because my dad went crazy about it, you know what I mean, and all the people that were there, Bill Elliott, who was the mayor, vouched for me. He was like, he didn't do anything. There was no reason for that cop to go in there and put his hands on me. And the aggression that he had was for what? I'm not even the one fighting. I wasn't even near the fight. Like it wasn't even like nobody was fighting. And we were just literally standing there like I'm sitting right here. You know what I mean? My cousin Amanda was saying that getting ready to be announced. That was my senior year in high school. It was the first time I got arrested by cops in Olean over some shit I didn't do. The second time was 2011. That time I got maced.
You gotta tell the story now.
I gotta tell the story. That one happened out in front of Granny's. Wasn't drinking. Again, new cops in Olean that are not from Olean. Literally, again, this is funny because the kid I just told you that had fought and beat the kid up that was a cop, I was literally talking to him. His name is Andrew Langdon. We were talking. He had his off-duty cop thing on, and me and him were talking. And my girlfriend at the time, who was an ass, just acting a fool, was acting up, trying to fight with some dude. Some white guy was talking crazy to her, and she was like, "I'm gonna beat your ass," and he was like, "You're a nigger lover," and all this crazy shit. And he was like, "Just get her out of here." And I was like, and the girl was just like, I said her name. I was like, "Stop! Like, shut the F up and let's get up out of here." And this dude who's friends with Gordon, who's another one of our people that we know, was like, "You need to calm down." He was an off-duty state trooper. And I was like, "You need to shut the fuck up because I'm not talking to you." His Olean PD friend grabbed me from behind and pushed me, you know what I'm saying, pushed me over and on like that. It was like, "You're out of here." It was like, we were outside and like that, and a whole melee broke off. And they said, allegedly, that I punched him, which maybe I did because I was in fight mode. Probably did, you know what I'm saying? Like, but I remember just buckling him down, and then all the other, like 5 other Olean PD cops jumped in, and they were losing, so I got maced. That was the story. And they ended up dropping the charges because Andrew Langdon was there, and he was like, this guy, he was a new cop, he's from Bolivar, New York. He was just like, you can't just put your hands on people for no apparent reason. But they ended up dropping the charges. They gave me like an ACD, something like that, you know, where you behave for 6 months and they just dropped it. Yep. So 2011.
So that's a problem. Cops think they're just to their cops. They can put their hands
Exactly. Yeah. And it's like, the recurrent theme is people were like, "Well, you should have just complied." And it's like, no, listen, what like, this is what people can't understand. The aggression that they treat us with is just insane.
Yeah.
Like, again, like when I'm talking to normal cops in Olean, who I know, they're gonna talk to me like a human being because they know me. But as soon as that cop doesn't know me, or you walk, like, if me and you walk out in Olean right now, they don't know you. They gonna treat you like a nigga. They gonna think you know what I mean, being the way, like you say, but like they may not treat me the same way, but they don't know you. So they don't understand that's their racism and how they think. You know what I mean? Like, oh, he's a threat to me. He's big and he's black and he's gonna get aggressive. But like the way that the aggression that they come at us with, cops always is like, you're not at war with your citizens. If you thought we were really citizens, like you think your white neighborhoods are citizens, you wouldn't treat us with the aggression that you treat us. You wouldn't bang us off cars and, you know, and like when white people are always like, black people are violent and aggressive. And it's like, the only people that are aggressive to us are white people, are white men. White men been killing us for centuries. You know what I mean? They'd be like, 98, what's the number? Like 95% of violent crimes is black on black crime. And it's like, in like only 88% of white on white crimes. It's like, yes, so you know what that actually says? It says, what do white people do? They kill us. We don't kill white people.
See, but the problem is that when they base those statistics are it might be true, but they're also not telling the whole truth.
Exactly.
The reason why those numbers are higher is because black people per capita, there's fewer than them.
They're fewer.
So when you calculate that number, you get a higher percentage because there's so less of us.
Yeah, and it's
so when you really add that 88% to that 95% or 98% or whatever, that number really should be more like maybe 70, 60.
Well, but they try to make it seem like we're violent. Yeah. You know what I mean? But it's like, and also the story that it tells is that if human beings are violent, across the board, forget about color, we're always going to be violent to people we know. You're not going to go, what we don't do is go over into somebody else's neighborhood and go kill them. What they do, why we have hate crimes is go around killing black people just to kill black people. So we don't commit crimes, you know what I mean? Like human beings don't commit crimes against random other people. The only people that have landed on other people is Europeans. They landed in Australia, they landed in North America, they landed in Africa. It's like,
Brooklyn's Allegheny. I'm in front of some nice neighborhood, and I'm taking pictures for stuff and stuff like that. And the old man whose house it was really nice, super friendly. But I kid you not, man. Every fucking car that drove by stared.
Yeah.
Cop drove by. I mean, I ain't see a cop creep this slow, and God knows how long. He creeped at like 5 miles an hour.
I never went to Allegheny. When we were in high school, we weren't. So you people think you lying. I know it's fact. I know the exact feeling. We did not hang in Allegheny. When I was younger, we didn't hang in Allegheny and we didn't hang in Portville. Period. Because if we went there, we knew that we were going to get into some shit and we were going to be at fault for it, or we were going to get arrested for whatever. It never happened. We did not go in the Allegheny. I'm not saying that, you know what I mean? Like, it's just like they think that like we get this violent reputation as if we're aggressives and like in violent. It's just not true. The only people, like, this country has been violent and aggressive to us constantly, hostile, racism feeling. Like, again, racism isn't always a word, it's a feeling. You walked into Allegheny and you be like, they do not want me here.
Yo, I'm standing in front of the house, like just putting the gimbal and stuff together, and I'm just looking around, like, and the crazy thing is, before I even saw it with my own eyes, I felt it.
Yeah.
I'm not even like aware of what's going on around me. I'm laughing, talking to Paul, and I just get this weird feeling. Yep. And immediately, it's almost like your senses know exactly where it's coming from.
Yeah.
Because I looked over to my shoulder and immediately made eye contact with this lady standing on the porch.
Yep. Like, what are you here? Why are you here? Why are you here, man? You're not supposed to be here.
Bitch, because I want to be.
Yeah, exactly.
Bro. And then they wonder why we get mad.
Exactly. And it's, again, we have to teach our sons to not get mad, even though we're just being emotionally violated on a daily basis in school and everything, and indoctrinated that shit by living while black. You're right. And like, we have to not be angry. So even when when you ask the question about not being, like, what would I tell my younger self? It's like, don't be so angry. But at the same time, I was just like, was I angry or was I proud of who I was? Both. Yeah, it's probably, it's both, you know what I mean? But it's just like, we're not allowed to be that. You know what I mean? We're not allowed to be that. We got to be angry. You know what I mean? And that's how they judge us. So.